Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Baldy's Mix, where we explore the wonderful world of mixed games. For those of you that were not with us yesterday, we've got a guest on stream this week, Mr. Tim Struby. Tim had a 20-plus year career in journalism, writing for publications such as ESPN The Magazine, The New Yorker, Maxim.
Don't forget Playboy.
And has recently left that career to found his own startup, toTree.co. And so we're going to have Tim on here, exchange some stories. He's going to let us pick his brain a little bit about the journalism world and some of the stuff he's been involved with. And I'm sure he'll have some poker questions as well. So welcome back, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. And I am enjoying my Christmas cat coffee mug that you're providing for this.
Picked out a special one for you.
It's very nice. I know I'm allergic to cats, but that's fine. I mean, it's okay. It is all right. The first and most pressing subject before we get into anything is what the fuck is up with this weather? I didn't come out to Las Vegas to have it snowing at your house. I can get that in New York City. You know that, don't you? Right.
Yeah.
That I can get at home. I come out here for sun.
It's like a bad extended April Fool's joke. Woke up today and it's snowing sideways.
Literally, he's not kidding. In Las Vegas. I mean, it's crazy. It's freezing out, man. This is totally ruining my tan, and which I feel is quite important to me. You're not a sun person. I can't.
What do you mean? What
I can't see you. I can't see you sitting on a beach like getting tan.
I stay pasty white no matter how much sun I get. It's that Wisconsin.
It's that Wisconsin cheese blood you have going through you.
Yeah.
You just probably get red as like a tomato, right?
That's accurate.
Yeah, that is. All right, I understand that. You don't want to be showing off those pale legs all over the place either.
Hey man, you got to embrace your heritage.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You gotta go with what you got today.
There's no other choice.
All right, wait. First and then next, what are you playing? You got 2-7 triple draw fixed limit.
Yeah, we're playing some deuce to 7 limit triple draw today, and it's quickly become one of my favorite mixed games. It's totally different than No Limit Hold'em in that there's no community cards.
Yep.
And the information that's available to you is different. Like you obviously can't see any of your opponent's cards. But what you can see is how many cards they draw and follow their betting patterns. So it's been a fun new game to learn. And there's certain like blocker and unblocker effects based on which cards you've had in your hand and discarded that lean you towards playing one way or another. So it's been the nerdy side of me has been really enjoying learning the strategy of this one.
That's interesting. Now I get, growing up playing poker, I get you can get a read on people by the number of cards they're taking. If someone's taking one cards or they're not taking any cards, obviously you're going to have, or they're leading on that they have a good hand. If they're taking a lot, they've got garbage. But with the cards that you're discarding in your hand, do you take those into account into kind of what's out there and what possibilities they might have?
Yeah, for sure. It can really affect the likelihood of yourself or your opponent drawing a good hand. And
that's interesting.
Yeah. So, for example, if you've got a pair of 7s and a pair of deuces, you only want to use one of them to make your made hand.
Yep.
But by having those additional ones, that your opponent is not going to have those valuable cards in his hand.
I will tell you that is a really valuable tip, and for someone who I play poker but not a lot these days, and old school poker like this, man, I did not know that. That's a really valuable insight too, which I'm putting into my Eric Baldwin poker notes pad.
It's crazy. Poker's full of stuff like that, where like once you learn it, you're like, oh yeah, that's like so obvious, and there's these aha moments. But like poker's funny in that we've been playing the game for, centuries, and there's been all these things like staring us in the face that we just uncover throughout the years. And yeah, like it's crazy to think that when I started playing like 20 years ago, blockers weren't even really heavily considered in No Limit Hold'em.
And for the layman or anyone, redefine what a blocker is.
So a blocker is just the concept of if you hold a card, your opponent cannot.
Oh, okay. See that's what we're learning here. That's why this game is fun, because it's like that's kind of an important concept, clearly.
Yeah, and it's one of the, every bit of information can be used one way or another. And so, poker's gotten so competitive, and if you want to do it well, you may as well use all the information at your disposal. And, through the solver era and like advanced poker tools, we've kind of discovered just how valuable some of that information can be. And so now everybody's trying to like optimize how to best use it and theoretically profit from it.
Yeah. But I enjoy this because, listen, we can all take coaching classes or read these books where at times I find, probably because of my old age and, the old saying, old dog, new tricks, that the information it gets a little overwhelming, but learning little snippets like this, when I'm watching a hand like this, it really helps me. I'm telling you, and I assume it would help other people. And kind of the point of this game, it's like it's a fun instructional real game with real players, and you're playing for real dough, but you're learning while you're doing it.
Yeah, and the other thing about these limit mixed games, especially at like low to mid stakes, you can choose your own adventure with like how in depth you want to get to the strategy.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to sit and hang out and play some cards and like know what a good hand is and what it isn't, and just draw to good hands and put money in when you make them, that's one of the cool things about poker. You can do that. But at the same time, it's like I say, choose your own adventure with how deep you want to go into the strategy weeds, because it is absolutely never ending.
Yes, that's why I stay out of those weeds. I just go off of my natural instincts, which are, this is why I don't play a lot of high-level poker. Those instincts are somewhat limited, but it is definitely fun to watch. And this is a 5-10 game, which is mid-level stakes. This is not penny ante stuff. Ooh, that's a good hand.
Yeah, mine was not. I was getting creative there.
Yeah. So do you read in this game? Is it? Do you pay much more attention to people's betting patterns and a feel for this, as opposed to like in a no limit?
Well, I don't have a ton of experience playing the game live, so in terms of like live tells and feel, I'm sure there's a lot of that, because poker's poker, and when you're sitting across the table from someone, you can talk theory all you want, but the guy is sitting there in real life and he's either got it or he doesn't. So that part of live poker is always just fascinating to me. But in terms of the raw game, playing it online,
can you get a feel online to some degree?
I mean, it's interesting, like, where does your feel come from? It comes from following the action and seeing a player's tendencies.
Yeah, are they loose? Are they tight? Are they do they bluff a lot, etc., etc.?
So it's kind of feel, but it's also tied to like betting patterns and mathematical stuff as well.
Yeah, where's the poker games that don't have the math? That's what I would like, because I was always a bad math student.
But you'd be great
as
at
a creative mind. I am. I can play Go Fish. Listen, I can play Go Fish. I am. You know what I am? Here's a fact that you did not know about me, I bet, for a despite our long friendship, it's not something I talk about a lot. Did you know I was a very a good bridge player? I learned how to play bridge when I was 5 or 6, and I had considered going into like tournaments with my mom, because she she played, and I played with my family and the neighbors. Yeah. Do you know how to play bridge?
I don't. That's the one that used to like post stuff in the newspaper.
That is exactly right. In the New York Times.
How old are you?
I am actually 120 years old, by the way.
No, I'm messing around. I've heard it's a wonderful game. Every once in a while, I'll see someone at the poker table, like, I don't know what they're doing, but they're bridging in some.
First of all, hold on. Let's have a time here. Bridging is not a verb. You know, bridge is not a verb, by the way. It is a noun. It's a game. You know, you don't bridge. Hold on. Let me ask you, are you pokering right now? I think that's what Eric's going to do, is just turn everything into a verb.
Well, I'm not doing much at poker right now, so I might as well.
I mean, you're getting crushed. Bridge is fascinating. First of all, you can play for some serious money. It's not a joke. It's no bullshit. And there's a somewhat of a, maybe not a no limit aspect to it, but you can really put pressure on people. And the betting system and the bidding system is great. There's a little bit of feeling out of what people might have. There's a language to communicate with your partner that you're speaking through. Once you know, bridge is, I'm sure it's someone like poker is, once you get into it a bit more, there is a sophistication to it. Very much unlike, let's say, you know, gin rummy or go fish and things like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's really fascinating. There are different school languages that you can play, like conventions that you use for bidding, and a bid will translate to indicate what you have in your hand and such like that. It really is interesting in that sense, and there's a lot of feel of when I would play, you know, the people who are looser players, you know, who are kind of taking more. Oh my gosh, and those conservative ones, absolutely. It's really
a game
fun.
that takes a lot of time, right?
No. Oh no, it moves. I mean, once you're in, you're rolling. Now it takes time to finish. It's a point-based game where you have to get to a certain number of points, but
how long does a game take?
Oh, it can take 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, why are they posting shit in the newspaper? What
because it's a regal game of kings, which Omar Sharif used to play. I think Omar Sharif was the most famous bridge player. I know some poker players who played bridge competitively as well too.
Yeah,
there is that kind of crossover. I know it's gotten a reputation as far as old ladies goes, but in New York there was a scene where younger people were playing, and I find it really interesting. How about this? I'm going to teach you how to play bridge. It's pretty. You'd pick it up in a second, but you'd find it very interesting. I'm telling you, and it's exercising a different muscle, but it's still in the same ballpark.
I'm looking to pick up another hobby, playing cards.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? You know what? Fuck 2-7. Let me start playing bridge right now.
It'd be less expensive than what I've been doing this last couple days. I've been enjoying our wonderful conversation while I just bleed
it's just
money.
Coffee. Yeah, you're like. By the way, this conversation has cost me $120 an hour, and don't worry, all the sponsorship will make up for that. You've got a full hand now. Oh, Always Birdie's back with that.
Yeah, your favorite avatar.
Yeah, I do like that a lot, actually. Speaking of avatars, I had mentioned yesterday that I was going to create a few options and, you know, ask around to see what people think. you
Yeah, suggest? Did you create your own?
I attempted, and we had technological problems. So
are you using an iPhone 7?
I was using a rotary phone, and I don't know why it didn't work. But I have an iPhone. I run a tech company. I have an iPhone, whatever the new one is, the best, and it just shit the bed. And I'm going to say it's obviously not my fault because I'm a tech wizard.
That's all right. We'll get you set up. You can send me a screenshot.
You're hemorrhaging money here. What's happening?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a good enough player at this game to know how bad I'm playing. Like I think I'm not playing like really
you go.
deuce to 7.
I
also, it helps when you make a hand.
I just said the words and it happened.
Yeah, and that happens a lot in poker. Like, as soon as someone starts really bitching about their luck,
Yeah.
they're sure to go on a heater. It happens nonstop. It happens with people complaining. It happens when people are all in with the worst hand and they get up from the table and they put on their backpack and they start to leave.
Yeah.
Like, there's something magic about giving up that it brings you back. It's like, I don't golf a lot, but like, I'll go out there and I'll shoot like a 110, but like on the 17th hole, you knock one like 6 inches from the hole.
That's a good feeling.
Keeps you coming back.
It contributes to that golf addiction of chasing that perfect stroke. As a tennis player, I used to play golf, and for the betterment of my mental health, I had to retire because golf is a tough one. Golf is, I mean, mentally, shit. You're having a good round, and you can have just one shot derails all of that, and it ruins my day. I couldn't. I was too mentally precarious to actually continue with that sport.
I hear you. It takes a lot of time too. Like,
although I want to say I had some natural talent. I want you to know that
you did. Huh?
I did on the driving range with the pro. A 7-iron, 175, 180 yards, no problem, every time.
Wow.
And then I get on the course, and that story changes.
There's probably some poker players that would love to gamble with you out there.
I got enough problems. That's the last thing I need.
There's like massive numbers of poker players that spend a lot of time on the golf course.
Oh, absolutely. I've read, when I was...
These guys they might be doing it right. They're just like living the country club life by day, and then they roll up to the tournament. They register at the last possible minute, rocking their slips and their athleisure wear, and there's a lot of gentlemen of leisure in the poker community,
like yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
I will tell you this though, which does make playing golf fun, even if you're not playing that well, is prop betting. During golf, it is so much fun. That really makes it fun. Every shot, who's going to miss, who's going to make it. Seriously, you can. That's why these guys play. You can bet every hole, every stroke.
I think we're all sick, but it's kind of cool.
It does make it fun.
Kind of like a misfit summer camp. And we found a place to all kind of enjoy our sickness together.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about poker players doing this. I'm talking about laymen, civilians like myself and my friends. It does add.
So everybody's a little sick.
People want action. I mean, that golf. Here's the thing. The thing about golf is, you have to wait. There's a lot of waiting around, and you're waiting to hit, and you can hit. So you can get action on other people's play, which makes it interesting, which is probably the same concept as all of this fantasy sports now, because remember, back in the day you could only bet on the game, which would be like if you were playing golf. All right, everybody, you and your 3 buddies put in $100 and say who wins.
Yeah.
But with fantasy, what it does is like you can bet every stroke, you can bet on other strokes, you can bet on players who aren't on your team, blah blah blah. You can bet, Jesus Christ, on the amount of grass stains on a player's uniform at this point.
Yeah, it's absurd. Like if you look at the props for the Super Bowl, and now everyone's got a mobile betting option. It's crazy to think about the amount of action that's going on in this country at any given moment.
Do you bet on sports?
I don't. I mean, 5 times a year.
Yeah.
I'll put like $200 on a game.
Did you ever do it in any sort of regular way?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to bet baseball totals trying to handicap the home plate umpires. This is like back before they were doing all the robot strike zone stuff. And
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
So like the guys with the bigger zones, it's advantage pitcher, so it's tougher to score runs. And the guys with the tightest zones, advantage hitter.
So you were basing it on who was behind the plate that day.
Yeah.
That's pretty sharp. You thought about that
it
yourself,
probably-
Mr. Baldwin? I mean, come on. Really?
I might have heard it around the bars in southeastern Wisconsin,
It's
but
pretty good for a Baldwin.
but like people are fooling themselves with that stuff all around the country. Like they think they got an edge on this or on that. But the fact of the matter is, like, everything is being input into, these algorithms that are just taking all factors of a game into account in the right proportions and just like running simulations of these teams versus each other. Everyone's 99.9% of people are bullshitting themselves if they think they can beat sports betting.
That is true. So two quick notes to that. One, I did a story for ESPN years ago where I followed a bookie around for about 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. And I wanted to see what that life was like. It was during the time of online betting, but it hadn't reached the level it was now with FanDuel and all that shit. And he had an online component, but he was in New York. He was an independent bookie. And some people like to see their bookie. They talk to the bookie, comes around. It's an exchange of cash. The digital way is fine, but it's obviously impersonal. There's something rewarding about getting an envelope full of cash.
Sure. You've been there.
It's fun. I watched him, he had with a bag, a paper bag with 25 grand in it, dropping it off to some guy, etc.
Sure.
And he imparted the best advice about betting on sports. Don't bet. That was his bet. That was his advice.
Literally.
Just don't bet.
Yeah.
Number two, speaking of analytics and such, there was another interesting story I did. I wrote about horse racing a bit, and I found a story about a guy who's based in Florida, and he created a company. He hired some data scientist programmer out of MIT or something to that effect, where basically he probably had a pool of money of $300 million that he would only bet in horse racing in Hong Kong. Huh. So what he did was basically create a program to find arbitrage in any sort of bet. Because why he went to Hong Kong? Because that pool was much smaller and there were much less variables than you would find in, let's say, the United States in horse racing and things like that. Sure. It was a much more controlled environment. And his was strictly business. It would find these, and he had basically an annual return of anywhere from 12 to 15% on that 300 million, and that was it.
You can make a living on that.
Yeah, and he wasn't into horse racing. It wasn't his thing.
Oh yeah, a lot of the top sports bettors, they don't watch sports.
Yeah, I know. He had no interest, but they found out, like you said, with the conditions, the jockey, the horse, the whatever that algorithm they had created was success. It caused, and they would do these robo bets because you'd want to get these bets in at the last minute because obviously, the more data you have up to the last minute, it depends on how much people were betting and such. I am sure that is no different than what a hedge fund does, don't you think?
It's an information game, right?
Yeah.
And it's been interesting to watch that evolve too, because I'm sure back in the day, people that had ins with people that were clubhouse attendants and would see lineups before they were posted publicly. There's information edges there. People will find any edge when there's that kind of money.
I think that's still the last frontier of privileged information that you would really have to know someone or have someone really on the inside, sort of insider information, would be the health of athletes. Clubs keep that really, really under wraps. They do not, and if you can find out, that quarterback that his hamstrings really bothering him.
Those are 4-point swings in NFL football games, and that's worth just a ton.
Hell yes, and I would be curious if there were leaks in that It's like that's the same thing as insider trading. There's no difference.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's obviously not like officially regulated. I assume. Who knows what like the trainers in those rooms have to like sign and
seriously. But even sign, I bet I would think they are pretty highly scrutinized.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it'd be an interesting world to try and navigate as an athlete too. I wonder how often athletes get like approached by even like friends and family, like asking them just for info on who's in for tonight's game and stuff. That's sick to think about.
For sure. And the sport now that has come on under really the most scrutiny, and there's been a considerable amount of incidents of questionable play. I also have a friend who's a degenerate gambler, I won't mention his name, who bets on it all the time because he thinks it's the best sport in which to bet, is tennis.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
I suppose it'd be real easy to throw a match and never tell anybody.
Absolutely. And it's also because no one's really paying that much attention to it. But there have been quite a few cases pretty recently that I've read about that have been uncovered of just strange matches that, who knows. And it's not really highly regulated.
There was a MLB umpire that just got canned recently because he was like using a friend's betting account. And apparently the friend was a poker player. They never like released the identity or anything, but there was a link between MLB umpire, and he was like, I'd seen his name before. He'd been around a while, but yeah,
that's a no-no.
Kind of no-no.
A no-no. Sure. I don't. Have you ever suspected anyone at a table of cheating when you've been playing?
Oh, yeah, that's a hot topic in poker right now. Big time.
I mean, after you have obviously the case of the winner of the main event and that sort of debate over, and he was, in short, he was going to the rail right between hands, and
looking at solver outputs,
right,
to that like replicate.
How can that be fucking legal? I don't understand.
Well, it was a case of, maybe the operator not being proactive enough to enforce something like that, and when you leave a gray area like that, and it's not expressly prohibited and acted upon, that's gonna happen.
It's a $10 million gray area.
Yeah, right.
Holy shit! I mean, you're not talking about a guy who won $300 on a baseball game.
Yeah, so it's an interesting topic right now. Like, how are they going to police it while not? There's talk of taking players' phones away or not allowing phones at the table. Apparently, there's like you can use your camera, and if the dealer's pitching the cards high enough, the camera can like see underneath the cards and relay information. So there's a lot of discussion in poker right now about how to approach some of these issues.
I have an idea. I have a new product idea. How about this?
What do you got?
Maybe we shouldn't advertise it. I mean, this could be our next fortune. I just want you to know.
Okay.
What if...
Write it down.
Let's say we talk about that problem. So, I know I'm a big Dave Chappelle fan. At Chappelle shows, and I'm sure at concerts you've seen this, where they put your phone in a case where you can't unlock it. I've never seen those, but what if there was some sort of product that everyone sitting at the table had to use in poker where it restricted some access, like the camera access, but you could still look up news or something to that effect. That you put a sheet.
Sounds like a magic device, though. Like,
I don't know. Come on, they can put men on the moon. They can't figure that shit out. I mean, honestly. It sounds like, but you know, can be simple fixes to that. Who knows if it's
Yeah,
worth
I don't
it or
know.
not.
You'd have to be able to do it at scale too. You know, some of these tournaments have like thousands of players. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, people have talked about having the dealers change their dealing style to always keep the cards on the felt, essentially.
I mean, that's
Certainly
been
not a lot
going
of
on.
easy answers. But back to your question, asking me if I'd felt like I'd been cheated. Apparently, it's a much bigger concern in private games.
Yeah.
I play almost exclusively in casinos.
Yeah.
So it's rare for me to suspect something's going on. Sometimes you'll see the cards pretty dinged up, and it would be pretty easy for someone who knew what they were doing to mark certain cards and then be able to tell by, you know, how the deck looks in the dealer's hands.
Sure.
You know, just the likelihood of a high card coming out or something like that. So, you know, I definitely have done some reading on cheating methods that people can use, and you just kind of educate yourself and keep your eyes open and trust your gut. But obviously you don't want to go just accusing people of being cheaters if you're not damn sure that they're cheating.
Not a good, doesn't make you popular at the table.
Right. So yeah, you just kind of got to keep your eyes open and protect yourself, you know, it's just one of the occupational hazards, I guess.
That is obviously very true. Now, question, when I took you down in the Bahamas, did you think I was cheating against you in the...
I think you were drunk and your memory was struggling. That was, you know what? I was thinking about that the other day. What do you think the price of the drinks was? This was 2011 PCA in Bahamas. It felt like we were paying like 14, 16 bucks a drink. And I was just thinking, like, that's what you'd pay in the States, in Vegas now.
Yeah.
You know, that actually wasn't that bad.
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I'm sure my expense account for ESPN at the time could reflect.
Did you buy that night? That was nice of you.
I'm sure I didn't buy it. That was ESPN buying.
They had a little ticket system. You'd give the guy standing at the table cash, and he'd give you a bunch of tickets, and then
is that how it worked?
And then they'd make you a Bahama Mama. Yeah.
I have zero recollection of that. By the way,
these are core memories for me.
For reference,
like young and drunk in the Bahamas.
For reference, I had done a story. Actually, I don't think, now that I think of it, I had already done the feature with you. And that one was on Jason Mercier and backing players. Right? But you were there, and it was like a whole good group. It was Brent Hanks from Poker Go. Became friends with
Hanks.
God. And I went down there, of course, because it was like, oh, it's on the beach. The Bahamas. And it's at Atlantis, which is Atlantis. The Atlantis Casino is my vision. That's where I'm going to spend my first 1,000 years in hell. I swear to God, it's the worst place on earth.
I'm with you. I've said goodbye to that place like 2 different times, and someone keeps running a new tournament there. Like once I think it's dead.
It's fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
It's the food, the high-end restaurants.
Is great though.
I can't. Where am I going to start? It's like, first of all, it's kids and water slides. It's like the size of, it's the size of like 10 New York City blocks. It's the high end restaurants there are garbage and expensive. I have nothing to say about it. If you offered me a free trip there, I wouldn't go back. I mean, not the Bahamas.
It feels weird bitching about like going to the Bahamas to play poker.
I know.
But I know what you mean.
I know.
It's just
I know.
Like,
I would go to the Bahamas. This is not to disparage the Bahamas.
Yeah.
But Atlantis, it's like I hate tourists and crowds and giant places and places where food
which is
sucks.
why you live in New York, right?
No, I don't walk around
And I live in
fucking
Vegas.
Times Square every day. Come on. Jesus
It's
Christ.
different?
I
New York's
avoid it
not
like
all like that?
I avoid it like the plague. I had to go there the other day. I was like, I hate all of these tourists. I mean, we had a good time, and it was a fun place to hang out, but oh my God, going to the Bahamas again, you can't even pay me. Wait, I have to pee. All this coffee you're giving me. But when I get back, and we had talked about this, it's interesting with Phenom Poker about the process to sign up, and I had talked to you about this, and I didn't fully understand it, but I really get it now and respect it about the process of signing up for Phenom is a little involved. But
Sure.
but what you told me and what I learned and from Matt the owner is that it will really cut down the bots and any form of potential, not cheating, but playing against bots, right?
Yeah, just having a legitimate, know your customer protocol.
Yeah.
And not making it not just simple to just create an account. It's going to cut down on bots and multi-accounting. And
it was, you know what? And it's really, the more you think about it, though, I mean, I can't say enough of how important
a couple
it is.
steps at the beginning, but honestly, they run super smooth.
Oh, once you do it, it's great. I don't mind that anymore. Listen, that's like peace of mind for me. I got to say,
Absolutely.
it is, and that's why all my bot accounts have been closed down.
You're cleaning up. He's a beauty. Draw one. Be nice to win a pot. Oh. I'm just getting beat on here in this deuce to 7 game. But I'm stubborn. Not very much fun just paying people off, not being confident in your plays. Poker can be painful. It's a different kind of pain in the mixed games too. Like it's not the instant death that that Hold'em can be. It's like a slow bleed. Ral03, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you guys joining on Twitch. We just started a YouTube page as well, so if you prefer watching on YouTube, it's Baldy Poker on YouTube as well. Also streaming on X. Trying some new stuff out this week. Just got the new webcam and mic installed, and I think I'm liking the setup. Let me know what you guys think. But I think I'm gonna be ready to start having some guests on here and kind of just treating it like just like a casual, have some cards going on, comment there from time to time, but just like get some interesting people on and do it podcast style a little bit. So let me know what you think. I've just started doing this, a few weeks ago, and just kind of trying to feel out what works, what doesn't. what people are interested in, what they're not. So please leave me some feedback. I'd love to, to a certain extent, I'm gonna do what I'm passionate about and what I want to, but I'd love to hear feedback and try to give the people what they're wanting. Definitely don't want it to be just like a run-of-the-mill stream. So hopefully through my friendships in the poker world, I can get some interesting guests on here. And man, tempting to bluff again, but I ran a pretty ridiculous one on him earlier in this session, and I just don't think he's gonna believe me. He knows I'm stuck. This is the kind of stuff that could be exploited, if you're just playing straight theory every hand. So it's interesting how much you want to exploit. Keep a 9, don't keep a 9. I have 2 deuces. I'm going to keep the 9 and just bet aggressively this hand. A lot of the time I find that I play better when I play faster. I was hoping that like when you'd leave things would turn around, but
it didn't.
It's been more of the same. Yeah.
You're just getting your... Why are you just not getting cards?
I might just not be very good at this game.
Oh. Listen, know your limitations.
Well, you got to pay your dues to a certain extent, right? I was so close. Like coming into yesterday's session, I think I was down like $16 or something on the stream over like 13 sessions, and yeah, you kind of killed my mojo. You brought snow, and
I brought it all. I brought all of the bad luck. I don't think it's luck. Maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's just bad skill here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I got to just pay some dues here, but I'll admit I haven't been hitting the books as hard as I optimally would be. But
you know how the game is played. What are you gonna do?
It's funny though. Like there's 0 time off on the poker schedule now. Like a couple times a year. Nobody plays on Christmas, But
yeah.
You kind of got to force yourself to take downtimes from the tournament schedule, or otherwise you'll just never do anything else.
How much studying will you do generally during the year? And I assume it might fluctuate in a sense before the World Series coming up from that stretch.
Yeah.
That you're cramming in a sense.
That's a good motivator, obviously, as World Series of Poker time gets closer. Everyone kind of starts gearing up for it. But yeah, I mean, it varies. If there's good tourneys going on, you're probably focusing more on play and just like keeping your game sharp. You might have a couple of hands from the day that you want to look into later at night when you get home.
Yeah.
And, just little things like that.
Do you go to forums?
Playing some hands against like a trainer.
Yeah.
And I've found that just like a little bit really goes a long way. If you're doing just something every day, it's going to help you stay feeling pretty sharp. And when you go several days without doing much training or studying, you might get a little bit rusty, and it just takes a little bit to get back into the flow of things.
Do you have any forums you go on or any sites? I remember
no free promo, no free. Oh, actually, no. Octopi Poker. Actually, I've been clicking around in there quite a bit lately, seeing all the resources they have to offer, and they're making improvements rapidly and putting like new simulations out and stuff that they're doing better than anywhere else is. So I've been, I think I'm going to use Octopi quite a bit to get ready for the upcoming No Limit tournaments leading into the series and then during the series.
I heard Octopi is a really up and coming platform. Some great technology. It's relatively new, but I understand obviously the tech folks behind it are incredibly sharp, and obviously it has to evolve to some degree. But is that Octopi? To clarify, you're not working with an individual there. It is strictly a tech platform, correct?
Well, they're building it as like a community and a place for people to go enjoy studying and learning more about the game together.
Oh,
so yeah, there's definitely a community vibe and feel with Octopi, as well as Phenom Poker, and yeah, it's only getting better.
And Octopi also, ironically, has their color is purple as well too, like Phenom. Right?
I don't. What color is an octopus?
They're generally purple.
They change, right? I think they can cover.
You didn't
anything.
see that documentary?
What am I doing? I'm like misclicking now.
You didn't see that documentary, My Octopus Teacher? I think it was called.
Yeah, that was amazing.
You know, I turned that shit off because
what?
I did.
What's wrong with you?
Because that is
everyone liked it.
That is anthropomorphism at its finest.
I don't even know what that means.
Anthropomorphism is when is projecting human qualities upon an animal.
Okay.
That means you project that these creatures, whatever it may be, think and act and feel the same as humans. So it's basically thinking that when an octopus or a penguin or whatever animal you are encountering does something, you're immediately thinking that it is acting like that because it has the same human qualities as do. Like it feels this or it thinks this. When those little small brains probably don't. This is not to say I do not like octopus. I like eating octopus a lot, and I think they're wonderful creatures. Here was my problem with My Octopus Teacher. 45 minutes in, for anyone who doesn't know this, My Octopus Teacher is about this guy in Australia, I think, who is snorkeling or diving, and he befriends an octopus that he finds, right? And then they have this growing relationship, and it is cool because the octopus is very curious. There was an amazing they have an amazing physiology. Octopus apparently have two brains, one in their tentacles and one in their head area that do have different roles. But after 45 minutes, I was like, listen, this octopus is not leaving its life in the ocean to go live with this guy, and this guy's not going to live underwater. So I have to imagine the octopus is going to die. And it's out there. So I was like, fuck this. I know what's going to happen. It's not going to be the resolution I want, that they live happily ever after. So I was like, I'm over it.
What a wonderful take.
I know. That's how it was. I'm sorry. You just got to...
What story would you have written about the octopus?
I'm not writing that story. I was just interested in what they were. I am. They're fascinating creatures, and and also, listen, if that was some sort of ugly creature, like no one would care. People only generally anthropomorphize. That might not be a word, by the way. It's like pokering or bridging. Is that they only do it for cute animals, ones that are
they don't do it to scorpions and spiders.
No, they don't.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
I see what you mean.
That's what I'm saying.
So do you think,
except like maybe Charlotte's Web, but that's the exception.
Interesting take, Tim.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. These are all, by the way, all of these takes, it's free of charge. Take them for what they're worth.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Is all I can say. I know what
I got a question for you.
All right.
What should we play? Should we play No Limit Hold'em? Should we play 8-game mix?
Let's play a little. What you want to? I don't know. What are you feeling? I mean, you've getting your ass handed to you.
Yeah, I know. How exotic do you want to get? You want to go vanilla with No Limit Hold'em? You want to go 8-game mix, which is like horse games plus a couple games, or do you want to go exotic with the Chop Shop mix, which is all split pot games, some of which you've probably never played?
Now, go. How about medium exotic?
Medium exotic. All right. All
This
right.
sounds like a question someone asks you when you want to go to a strip club. What do you want? Do you want medium exotic? Do you want weird?
Yeah,
or do you
what's
want
your-
really
What's your
traditional?
thing? The cabbie's asking you. Where do you want to go?
I think let's go mid-range.
Jesus. Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to do better than you just did. Is all I can say.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll try anything.
You know, you got you listen. Come on, I know my game. I found my game here. The 2 cent, 5 cent no limit hold'em going
There
right
you go.
there.
Perfect way to get in here.
That's it.
So
the
yeah,
average spot is $1.89. That I don't mind being cautious, but
$5 max buy-in. Come in. It's filled up, man. It's filled up.
I know, but that's great. Listen, let people learn that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better than, there's playing play money. You get a lot of people that are just going all in
Of
blind
course.
freehand. But even if you're just playing that $5 max buy-in, you're going to get some semblance of a game of poker.
Some. Where do you think that line? That's an interesting question. Where do you think that line is? I don't know if you know this because obviously you don't play the lower stakes. Where's that line that delineates to some degree where you're going to get a much more a much better level of play, like a more kind of standard level of play where you could, is it 50 cents a dollar, 1-2 no limit, you think? That's where in
Yeah,
quotes.
I mean, it's gotten lower over the years. 1 second.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. What game are you in? I got to see what's happening.
I'm just playing Hold'em now, but I just joined the 8-game mixed table. And so I got to decide what I'm going to do. If I'm going to 1 table, 2 table, play Hold'em, or play mixed.
What's the mixed table?
It is Boulder Station 6 Max, number 3.
Boulder Station. Yeah. Ooh, I like that one. I don't know if I should play. Maybe I should play. What are you playing?
Yeah. Don't do that.
No, I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna play in your game.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't
even know if I can play a game with you here. Can I?
Right. That's what I'm not sure.
Well, let's
honestly.
see.
So I err on the side of caution. All right, we're gonna rock some Hold'em for a minute here.
Oh yeah, you're at my table, fucker.
What?
I was gonna jump in that too. You're playing on the no limit. You are playing 50 cent one, right?
Yep.
Nice. There's a lot of heads up games here. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna get in. We're gonna 2 table. We're gonna play some no limit Hold'em. We're gonna play some Big O.
Yeah.
You know what though? I don't have a split screen scene. I don't know. We're gonna do it anyway.
Now, on Phenom, does anyone recognize your handle and know who you are? And they're like, "Oh, I'm playing with a pro."
I assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly not from that avatar would they remember that, because they would think you remember the SWAT team.
Some do. Some have no idea. There's a lot of international players.
Oh.
And yeah, we got
You're in the
lots of bases covered.
Valerian 8 Max.
Yep. So I got a link to one story that you did that I thought was like just an awesome piece. Can you tell us a little bit about the baseball story you did with Gary Scott?
Oh, I mean, you being a baseball fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. That was a story. The background is as such. I went to a relatively small high school in Westchester County, right outside of New York City, and I was an okay baseball player. I was an okay baseball player in Little League because I had a late birthday, so I could play. You know, I was like a year older, but I was not built like an athlete. All I can say is I remember this in 7th grade. I was 4'11" and weighed 77 pounds. So, you know, I wasn't tearing up. But I played on a team in the Pony Leagues, which is the higher leagues, with a kid named Gary Scott. And he was the best player in our league. And he was just very good. He wasn't someone you would ever think would be a pro. But he wound up going to Villanova. And then as a sophomore or such, he got drafted by the Cubs, dropped out of Villanova, and went to the Grapefruit League, where he led the Grapefruit League in spring training. He had a better batting average than Wade Boggs in the Grapefruit League, which is pretty impressive. And he had a great glove. And he was named starting third baseman for the Cubs. First year, he played about 31 games. He got hurt. And then
he was like a high draft pick, right? He was like a can't miss prospect, right?
I don't know. I mean, out of college, I don't think he was that high of a draft pick, but certainly he made that impression in the Grapefruit League, where when you have the best batting average, and he had a great glove. He was supposed to be the face of the Cubs, the next Ron Santo, who was their legendary third baseman.
Right.
I can't, I gotta say, I don't remember
whether
when
he was drafted high or not. Like when he came into the majors, there was huge expectations. He was like, and being on the Chicago Cubs, that's like legendary stuff. And you're being thrown in with names of like sports lore.
Yeah, and he was also, and this is a fact of sports, like good looking guy, dirty blonde hair. He was a lovely guy as well too. I mean, he checked all of the boxes. First year, Don Zimmer was the manager at the time. He started third base. He got hurt. Got sent down. The next year, he started third base again, which is, that's every kid's dream. I watched him hit a grand slam on ESPN. I was watching it. The problem was he probably didn't have enough time in the minors. I mean, I don't have to tell you this about the difference between a minor league curveball and a major league curveball and how those pitchers throw balls. So he gets up the second year and he's just not hitting. He's hitting around 200, et cetera, plays another 30 games, gets sent down, winds up getting traded to another club. And in baseball, when you get traded, you're behind someone. I mean, even if you're a good player, if you're in AAA, there's a star third baseman ahead of you who's playing in the majors, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, Gary never played again in the major leagues. Spent another 10 years in the minor leagues. And I thought it was fascinating. And my premise was this. Would you rather have never made it to the major leagues? Let's say you play in AAA, and you could have all these, if I had made it to the major leagues, I would have killed it, blah, blah, blah. Or would you have been given the keys to the castle? Every boy's dream. You're starting third baseman 2 seasons in a row, and you can't do it. You never get it again.
God, either one of those would be kind of rough,
Everyone's...
Give me having made the show.
Everyone says having made the show, and I'm going to take the other.
Of course you would. You don't like octopi. You think they're cruel animals.
That, first of all, has nothing to do with this. It was no, because I don't want to have I don't want to know. It's easier to live with. If I had gotten a chance, I would have made it then. I was given the chance, the dream, every kid's dream since you're
But at
6
least
years
you
old.
know, though. You know?
Know what?
Like, you know. If you never got the chance and then failed, you like wouldn't know. So you're basically saying you'd rather like bullshit yourself the rest of your life, like, oh, if I just had the chance, I would have been a fucking all-star, than have actually found out and make peace with the fact that you were like right there, but not quite good enough to be a big leaguer.
No, but
you
he
played in the fucking bigs.
But the thing was that with more time, if he hadn't been kind of rushed up to the majors, he probably would have made it. Let's say he would have made it. And I remember when I did the story with him years. It took me 3 years to get my editors at ESPN Magazine to give me the green light on the story, because they were like, who cares?
That's a great story.
But, well, of course,
It was
I
a
wrote
phenomenal read. Like,
Thank you.
Like you painted a hell of a picture. Like,
Right, and
growing up a Cubs fan, like I just posted a link in the Twitch chat. If you guys want to check it out, it was a phenomenal story.
Well, the story was complicated because Gary, who's a wonderful guy, and I'm still friends with him, he married my high school prom date, by the way.
Really?
Yes, he did. And
that's pretty cool.
he viewed himself as a failure. He never went back home to our town because our town had produced exactly 0 famous athletes.
Population?
10,000.
Yeah, you can't. You got to get the hell out
But
of
but not only 10,000, but it's not like Thunder Bay, Ontario, which happens to produce all these hockey players, or one of these anomalies. Like,
Yeah.
I did the research. The only other professional athlete who grew up in our town was from like 1912 or something like that.
Yeah.
And his parents had this shrine to him. His brothers kind of resented him because his parents, his father was a baseball coach and wonderful in town. So Gary felt all of this was undeserved, and he felt like a failure. And he wound up getting quite a good job in the oil business and such, but he had never talked about it. And I thought it was fascinating of how to live with that.
Yeah.
And how to reconcile that, because he would go, he'd be at the gym watching TV, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I played in the Grapefruit League with that guy. I was much better than him." And it's circumstances that a lot led to this. He might have been able to start somewhere else, but they've got players ahead of him, and it's.
I've got a former teammate that was in a similar situation that didn't quite make it, made it all the way to AAA, but never got the chance in the show, and he got drafted by the Devil Rays at the time, but then in some major league trade, he ended up getting traded to the Cubs organization. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that would be tough to question. Had I not been traded, would I have ever gotten a chance in the show?
Yep.
With the Rays, because maybe the Cubs bullpen was tougher than the Rays at that time. I don't know.
Of course,
that would be tough for sure.
No, but and the unusual thing about Gary was, and this about baseball, he wasn't a September call up. It wasn't like he was just given a month of garbage time or playoff time. Starting 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Starting third base. I mean, it's every kid's fantasy. And then he had never talked about it, so doing the story with him was kind of like therapy, and how he saw himself and how others saw him, and this idea of this kind of revering of professional athletes and how he felt like a failure.
Well, I don't blame him for getting out of town. Could you imagine just like, hearing whispers around town of like jealous dudes being like, "Yeah, you never
he couldn't have made it." I know.
No. What are you gonna do? Play slow pitch softball in your town of 10,000?
And he had 2 older brothers. One of whom was a really lovely guy. The other guy was a total dick. He was a ref in our like town basketball league, so we would have. He was just a tool. But they were both athletes, and they resented his parents creating this shrine to Gary. It just made it uncomfortable, and he didn't feel good about himself. And it was one of those human complicated stories where sports are fascinating, and where it's It's like the story I did about you, and this is why I love being a writer, because what you see, a good writer can get underneath the story that you see on the surface. You get deep into it, and there's a lot of complicated layers. That's the story I did with you of like, oh, the glamorous life of a professional poker player. Look, you're on TV.
Right.
You have big hands, etc.
I'll post a link to that story as well.
Big hands, and then it's the work, the questioning. It's about identity. Am I doing the right thing? The self-doubt, the work, everything else you don't see. And uncovering that is a really wonderful process if you care about it. And sometimes I was a pretty good writer. That's all I can say.
No, absolutely. I know you won some awards in the boxing world, and
won awards. I was in the Best American Sports Writing many times. Yeah, it was good. Now I don't have to worry about a blank page anymore. Great. I'm working on my professional poker career.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I know it's coming any day now.
Yeah.
Speaking of professional poker, how are you doing in your hands? What's happening?
Pretty much breaking even. Not a whole lot of action, which, sometimes you got to stop the bleeding. So things are going great.
What are you playing? Oh, you're playing the same too. The Valerian Big O.
Yep. And Marineford 9 Max.
Let me ask you a question. Who names these games?
I don't know. The team at Phenom Poker.
Okay.
I think a lot of them are like, I don't know. I see a Narnia 6 Max. I see a Disneyland 6 Max.
I know. I saw that. That's what I was saying. The Atlas Mountains. Do they just like throw darts against the wall, or just like? I have no idea.
I don't know. Kind of like it.
I didn't know if there's any rhyme or reason. I go right for the Rapture 6 Max. Maybe I'm going to start playing games just based on the hands. Names. The game names.
Yeah.
The ones I like. Wakanda. The Pallet Town. Goddamn. Elysium. There's a crypto fan.
Should go well for you.
I absolutely. Well, it generally does. The Great Barrier Reef 6 Max. Holy shit.
Let's see.
Wait, I had a question for you, by the way. First of all, here's the thing. Speaking of the life of a poker player, you married your high school sweetheart.
I did.
Was married from Beaver Dam as well?
Yeah.
All right, Beaver Dam. Yesterday, both of your mothers arrived at your house.
Yeah.
They are here.
Everybody's got them.
Everybody's got them. Okay. You started playing professional poker or poker really seriously when? After college, right? It was about 22?
I started during college.
Yeah. But when did you take the leap, move to Las Vegas, and say, this is what I'm doing for a living?
Pretty much as soon as we were done with school. I graduated college at 21 or 22, probably 22, and then lived in Madison for a couple years with some buddies that were still finishing up school there, and basically just partied like I was still in college and played online poker. Started doing well, and then asked my now wife if she wanted to do something crazy and pack up and move to Las Vegas and get the hell out of the snow, but apparently
not all the time. Right. All right, so you want to play professional poker, you're doing well at it. Marry your mom, her mom. What was the reaction to that? Was it universal acceptance? Or
no, I think we were both fortunate to have a lot of support. I think in my case, they kind of knew that I was going to do what I wanted to anyway, so they might as well kind of embrace it. But no, I was fortunate to have a lot of support.
Oh, that's great then.
Yeah.
I mean, All right.
And then a lot of people always ask me, like, you know, what's the relationship like? You know, that's got to be hard, you know, not knowing when your workday is going to be done if you're playing tournaments, etc. And my answer to that is, like, I'm just super fortunate, and we kind of grew into it together, you know, because we've been together for so long, and like through a lot of the early days, you know, you just kind of adapt and get used to it, even though it is kind of a crazy lifestyle. It's not crazy per se, but you know, it's different. It's unique.
I mean, it's remarkable that you had that support. I would have guessed that it would be most circumstances, maybe you know, your mom, but like your in-laws, your wife. I mean, I would imagine that would be a challenge for them to say, "Hey, I love the fact that you married my daughter and now you want to be a professional poker player. Hey, that doesn't sound doesn't sound good to me."
You know, you're young, and you know, you got to have some faith that you're going to be resilient if it doesn't work out. So, like, what the hell?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's kind of makes sense. Hold on one second.
I got questions for you, though. I can't let you just hijack this shit and just interview me. It's my stream.
All right.
It's my stream.
It's your stream, yo. It's your jam.
What are your general impressions on the poker world as a whole? You know, you're someone who's an outsider, but someone who has a much better knowledge of the poker world than your average bear, having done a couple stories in it, and you know, doing the research that you did for those stories, and just, you know, being friends with me and asking me questions over the years. What do you see when you see the poker world?
I mean, I love the world. I mean, I really do. I think it's, by the way, I got the nut flush on this No Limit hand.
Oh, wow.
I love it. It's full of characters. I've always gravitated to sports like these.
Finish your hand, and I'm sure you're nervous. You got the nuts.
All right, he raised. I'm gonna call. I'm just gonna take it slow.
Hope he rivers a full house.
Fuck off, he might. The board just paired. Oh, now the board paired again.
Welcome to poker.
Shouldn't have slow played this.
Yeah. If you knew the board was gonna pair twice, you probably wouldn't have.
I do love the poker community. I think it's just fun. I think there are a lot of characters there. I think I like it because there's a lot of bright folks there. I think there's a ton of interesting stories.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of misfits in poker, you know, like a lot of people that just like, I feel like that personality type might get drawn to poker, you know, just because, you know, if you can do it, you're your own boss, and you don't really have to buy into anything from the man per se. So definitely think it attracts some interesting characters.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think that would I do it for a living? No. I mean, if I was still writing, there's still a lot of fantastic stories out there that I think should be told. And I mean, at some point, you know, maybe one day I will go back to those, but I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, would I do it for a living? I don't think so. I mean, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely more just curious at general impressions coming from the outside, and someone who's seen a lot of different, you know, cultures and subcultures. whether poker is a sport or not. It's definitely a collection of people with like interests.
Yeah, I mean, are you still having fun after all of these years?
I am. Like, when I sit down at a table with a bunch of like good people and we're just like playing cards and having fun and talking a little bit of trash sometimes, there's nothing like it. It's a great way to spend a day.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, is it? I mean, you have some rough days.
Incredible. Look at the number of like successful business people that money's not really an object to them, and they choose to play poker with their time. There's obviously something to it, and for the number of people that are interested in poker to be interested in poker, it's obviously just a beautiful game. So I definitely do feel there's pros and cons to every job, and poker, especially like tournament poker for a living, is full of disappointment and pain, but so what? Like it's got its pros too, and I really enjoy being part of it. If that says something strange about me, so be it.
I mean, all right, so if there's any piece of advice, let's say somebody wants to start playing poker regularly. They want to dip their toes into saying, "Hey, how can I make a living for it?" What would you tell them?
I'd first let it be known that I don't want any part of telling somebody whether or not I think they should pursue it as a career. I think that's a very personal choice, and it's a big commitment if you're going to. But then I would say, there's a ton of resources out there. Dig in, and just if you're gonna do it, commit to it and treat it seriously, because it's, like I said, it's kind of choose your own adventure with how much stuff you want to learn and how good you want to get at it technically, and it's gonna also challenge you, emotionally, mentally, physically at times. So just be prepared that it's not for the faint of heart.
No, it definitely isn't for the faint of heart. I mean, listen, I've never had a real kind of, per se, steady job, so I like taking the risks. But I mean, that's got to be. It's just I don't know how you handle the lifestyle. Does doing something like this mixed game help you in a sense, able to relax, do something different?
Like having some curiosity and some passion towards a project is very useful. I'm a believer that you can't really fake that. I think poker is beautiful in that aspect as well, in that there are a variety of different games or game types, like tournaments, cash games, live, online, a jillion different variants of poker. There's always something to shake things up and keep that curiosity and that good fuel going inside yourself.
What would you want to see for this coming year? Like, what's your goals? Let's say, do you set goals like that?
I'm not big on that. No, not big on it. I think as long as I am passionate about what I'm doing and I know that I'm not cheating myself in terms of how much my resources I'm putting into it, the results are gonna take care of themselves somewhat. It's having been around this long and been through plenty of upswings and downswings, it kind of becomes apparent that you might not want to do a lot of your goal setting around results. So I try to set goals not necessarily results based, even though I'm looking for results.
That's interesting that you don't set, I guess, because it would be very difficult to.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're kind of BSing yourself if you say, I want to win X amount this year if you're playing poker tournaments for a living. If you're playing online and you're getting enough volume to, like, kind of even out the variance. I mean, that'd
Yep.
be a ridiculous amount of volume, but yeah, you're just kind of BSing yourself if you're being real about the level of variance that's involved. What are you going to do? Beat yourself up if you fall short of that goal? Maybe,
Right.
Maybe you played great. You know, maybe if you did the same thing the next year, you'd double your goal.
Man, I so want to talk about variance at some point. You know, I think that's just such an interesting just factor
And
that you can't beat. It's like fighting Mother Nature, isn't it? For
and
real.
so much of like our self-confidence ends up tied with results too, you know, like
Yeah.
if you've been winning a bunch lately, you feel great at the table, you're playing great, etc. And if you're in a downswing, as much as you know, tell yourself to keep doing ABC and it'll turn around, you know, it'll wear on you. It'll challenge you for sure. So just learning how to deal with all that stuff, because everyone deals with it too. You know, poker's a game where your edge on the other guy or gal is, you know, the delta between how you handle situations and how they handle situations. And that's not only the cards that you're dealt, but also, you know, if you're maximizing when you're winning and handling downswings better. And,
Yeah.
And there's plenty of room to get better at a lot of the emotional control type stuff. And
How do you handle a downswing?
I mean, there's really not any other choice. So you keep. You don't want to pretend it's not there. It's kind of like if you were in a slump in baseball. You know, you can pretend it's not there, but you're just not seeing it well.
Yeah.
And so I think one thing that is a good tip that a lot of people don't do is just to get super real with what's going on inside themselves. You know, like it's much better to like take a day and really like connect with everything that's been going on in your life and where you're at that moment, and then move forward from that place.
Yep.
Than to just kind of like keep the nose to the grindstone, head down, you know, almost like just push it aside. There's a time for that. Like if it's the middle of the World Series and there's a can't miss event, you know, that I guess there's a time for that. But even then I try to, you know, keep the door open to processing all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you have to have, I assume you have to have some sort of life outside of poker as well, too. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
you know, I feel like that's got to be, you know, some sort of vital thing.
Some balance.
Some balance, man. Come on. You know, you got to get like your, you know, you got to get, you know, you got to keep your mind, right.
Yeah, for sure. And there's plenty of sitting that goes on, so I think having something that's active has a lot of value as well.
Yes.
Or something that's like different, you know, like instead of picking up another brain hobby, you know, maybe get something physical.
Ooh, man.
How you doing over there?
I have a straight flush right now.
No.
Yep, sure do.
I'll be damned.
I'm gonna
Poker's
gonna
easy.
push them all in. King high straight flush, baby.
I'll be damned.
Yep. I don't know if I've had that.
It's like the shot on the 17th hole. It keeps you coming
And I
back.
just took down a guy who had the ace high straight.
Sorry, buddy. No good.
No bueno. Although I did lose large part of my stack bluffing on something just recently.
Forget about that little guy.
You know, I mean, I was representing a straight prior to that and made a large waiver, and some guy went right over the top for a large amount.
I bet it was brilliantly played.
Yeah, I mean, if I must agree, yes. I like to play a little aggressive on these. I haven't played poker in so long. I probably need some refresher courses. I mean,
Yeah, with all that spare time you've got, like running a
running a startup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is the absolute. How are you doing, by the way? Are you getting a little better over there, or what's happening?
More of the same, breaking even, essentially. Right. Actually, I'm down a little bit in this one too.
I will tell you this. It's very strange that I would rather, if let's say I play poker, back in the day, for a certain number of hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, whatever, all this time that one is spent, I would rather lose money than break even. Actually, I find
that's an interesting psychological
I do. Because I find breaking even, then it's just like, then I feel like I just wasted time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, play a long live cash session or something. It always feels a little silly going out there.
Yeah, not a tournament. Yes, fair. That's a very fair note that it only applies to cash games.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, having your journalism background, tell me if it's like this in other, not sports, but just other areas that are like, have enough interest to have kind of their own media presence.
Well, I mean, in sports or in anywhere? Everybody has their...
Anywhere.
Everybody's got their own.
You've got a much better gauge for this than I do, I'm sure. So is it just inevitable, like in any field, that the kind of the media outlets are going to end up owned by like the biggest businesses in the space?
No, I mean that is absolutely not the case. I mean, it's obviously a conflict of interest, and I obviously you're referring to poker in a sense.
Sometimes it feels like that, honestly. Yeah, because it's understandable, right? Like if someone's paying your bills, you're not gonna write negative press about them. But as a player, sometimes it can be frustrating, when stuff doesn't get covered that should be covered if it's like an unbiased news source, which it is what it is.
Poker's unusual in a sense that it seems like all the poker media outlets have some sort of connection to poker companies, poker players, whatever the case may be.
Right.
The landscape has changed a lot. Media, especially from the days when I was writing, which wasn't too long ago, it was 4 years ago. When I was writing, you're totally independent. There's no in a sense, for most outlets, if you were writing, let's say I was doing a poker story. Let's say I was doing a story with someone signed with Poker Stars, and I wanted to profile them in the Bahamas. And Poker Stars says, "Hey, we're going to fly you down and put you up. This is great."
Yeah.
No chance of that.
You wouldn't accept it.
You can't.
Because it would hurt the integrity of the piece.
But what's happened now is that in the mainstream media, and I've noticed this since my startup of getting pitched by these people, there has developed this pay to play that certain publications, it's like Yahoo.com, Forbes, they all have this sort of, I don't know even how to describe it, this sort of new fractionalized part of their media where it is pay to play, where you can get paid placements in whatever sort of publication you're using, and I just not down for that. I don't like that. I feel it's bullshit, because also so you can get an article in like Forbes, let's say, and it'll say this is sponsored content, blah, 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 which I think is bullshit. I think it undermines it, but I guess maybe people don't pay attention. They don't care anymore.
Well, maybe that's the only way for it to exist in poker. Is it just like too difficult?
It may be.
It leads me to my other question, because I've heard people in poker media say like the true news stories, like if they did like a investigative breakdown on the rake from one place to another, or something that would really benefit players to like have that information.
Yeah.
That story is getting like 1/10 of the clicks and likes as some type of, just drama bomb clickbait piece. So it's kind of an interesting question, like, can you really blame them if that's what's getting clicked on? Or, how much of that blame lies with the consumer? If that's what we want, that's what we're gonna get.
Is that what? I know that's give the mob what they want. Absolutely, that it's become, and I always was proud of myself as a writer that I didn't write any sensational stories. I didn't write scandalous stories. I wasn't a rabble rouser. Can I use that term? Does that make me sound old? I strongly felt that people who wrote that shit, that was compensating for good journalism. Now, this is not to say, I'm not talking about like great investigative pieces, things that made headlines, which was great reporting, great journalism, things that without question, there's nothing better than that. But just to shit on someone, or just to
there's an interesting, so there's all kinds of like content creators and people in the poker world that aren't necessarily like top pros, but they're like people in the poker community, like everyone's got a voice. Everyone can play poker. Everyone's got a voice. There's some people seem to like really get off on just like making fun of other people within the community that they're kind of leeching off of. That kind of rubs me the wrong way when you see that.
I really, really wish that not everyone had a voice. I do. I would like. I really. I often. I don't mind having a voice. Just don't have a platform to share that voice. If that makes sense.
Does it come back to the consumer? It's the people are buying into
that
shit.
Yes,
So
because
we've
become
you get what you deserve.
We've become a short attention span. Some of these media outlets have changed where they just it's you have to write about what's trending. My God, isn't that the scariest thing in the world? I don't even know what's trending, so I can't.
Yeah,
I can't write those sort of stories. The media, the landscape changed, and that's part of why I went into founding a startup. I couldn't write the stories I cared about. The story that we did, I don't think I could have done that back in the day. Really? Yep. I just don't. And it's unfortunate, but that's the landscape. What are you going to do? You got to go where you can make some dough. And writing is so fucking hard sometimes that you've really got to love it to take that time and take the care and all that shit that matters.
And it is kind of a fun day and age in the sense that you don't need to rely on a few media sources, because like players can self-report stuff. Everyone's a counterpoint to everyone having a platform and voice is that like some of these stories that don't get covered in poker media, the players are hollering from their rooftops about. A lot of times they'll end up writing a story if there's a big enough, people raising the issue enough in the poker community.
Why aren't these stories getting covered? I mean, are there stories that
just the money, like, so for example, there's been a couple tournaments over the years where they've had a guaranteed prize pool, and then when the operator or provider realized that they weren't going to make that guarantee, they would take various questionable measures to help themselves get more buy-ins in, so they had to cover less of the overlay.
How do you define a questionable? What's a questionable buy-in? In what sense?
So like one example, it was a tournament maybe at PCA, I think in Bahamas.
Yeah.
And they there's a big advertising piece. They're promoting these events and getting people to win seats online and come down and play in these big events. And the people that are going down there are making their trips expecting for a tournament to be run as posted. And then they get down there, and because the house is going to come up short, they start altering the rules and letting a bunch of people in that
all right.
It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and then it doesn't necessarily get covered in the poker media because the company behind that is one of the biggest potentials for ad dollars for them. So it's that type of situation.
But that has it does play a role. I mean, I hate the conspiracy theories that big pharma controls the media or whomever. But there are conflicts. So when I was early on writing, there was a story I found about this. It was a fraternity out of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where the kids there. It was like anti-sweatshop. They were really, really active in the anti-sweatshop movement and all this. Now, I could not have done that story for a lot of publications, including ESPN magazine, because Nike is such a big advertiser.
Sure.
I mean, that I get it. I mean, that's the nature of the beast sometimes. I wound up doing it, by the way, for Penthouse magazine, which did not have any conflicts.
No conflicts there.
Other than the most disturbing visuals I've ever seen. I remember my parents, we want to see the story, because I was pretty early and it was a big feature, and I was like, there was a
text only version.
There was I don't even think it existed in a text only version. This was when it wasn't available on the internet. It was like you had to get it, in an actual magazine. There was a spread. It was like avant-garde pornography where it was like themed. This was apparently the story.
And that
a woman, an alien woman on a planet, she's painted in blue, comes out of an egg or something like that. Tentacles. I won't get into many more than that. Page. I was like, Dad, stop. Get to the story. You're not, this is not for you. My father was like, this magazine is great.
It was a freak subscription, son.
It was, but they could run anything because their advertisers were, tobacco. They didn't give a shit because, they were a bit kind of controversial as it was. So they did not care. But yet it still allowed me to write a good story about this fraternity who was making.
And so the equivalent of today's Penthouse is that anyone can create, a social media account. And if they want to, they can do kind of their own, investigative pieces.
Except Penthouse had this vast audience, they were established. So
you gotta
you have a I mean, if you want to get the story out there. In the poker world,
though, stuff will get picked up pretty quick. Even if someone without like a lot of followers posts something, like if they're reporting something shady went on in a tournament, or if they report, that an operator handled a situation really poorly, it gets picked up on quick. And the poker community, to its credit, like, if they sense some bullshit's going on, we'll band together pretty damn quick and like put the screws to whoever the operator is. It's one kind of pretty damn cool thing about the poker community, honestly.
That is interesting. That is cool. You know what I mean? It's like, I respect that. And listen, there's a lot of great. That's why you play. There's a lot of great stuff in the poker community.
Yeah, there's a lot of amazing people.
Hey. I got small ladder.
Sand sucks. Not sure about this one. 2, 3, 4. Well, thanks for joining, guys. I hope you're enjoying this. Like I said, trying some different stuff out. But I'm enjoying it and glad you're here. I got to get this poker straightened out, though. It's under 2 months to the World Series of Poker. We can't be just like losing regularly. It's not where we want to be.
How are you doing, by the way? We're
doing good. We jumped in just in an effort to find a game that we can book a little win at. We are now playing the Chop Shop Mix, which is a collection of all of the different split pot games offered on Phenom Poker. So each one of these games.
That makes sense. I get it. I get
Chop
it.
Shop. Chop Suey.
I'm up $5.25. I've made a strong comeback.
And you've earned a little, your first fraction of Phenom token.
There it is. That's exactly right. And I'm
welcome to the community.
So how does that token work? So there's how many like what does it require to get a full token?
So the rewards program at Phenom Poker is unique, and so when you play on online poker sites, you earn rake back. It's kind of like a rewards program, and the more you play on the site, typically the higher percentage of your rake you get back.
Yeah.
And Phenom Poker is no different. We've got like a tiered system. You'll notice different players at the table have like different color rings around them. That's all the reward system.
Oh,
and
okay.
So whatever percentage rakeback you're earning, it accumulates throughout the week, and then at the end of the week on Monday morning, that rakeback will be funded into your account in the form of Phenom token.
Okay.
Now, if you don't want to take part in the Phenom token equity share program and you just don't believe it, or you're just curmudgeon-y and just say, just give me my USDT, you can instantly redeem it through the treasury for whatever the price of the token is. But if you hold on to the Phenom token, like I said, it's an equity sharing token in Phenom Poker. And as Phenom Poker grows, the price of the token grows. And in addition to that, half of the net rake that Phenom Poker takes in, it redistributes back out to the token holders.
That's
so
great,
if you accumulate a significant number of tokens, you're going to be getting paid essentially like a weekly dividend that is your share of the rake that the site is taking in. So that truly functions as a...
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And does it take... I mean, does it mean that like the higher stakes games you play is better? You know, obviously the more the rake, the better.
The more rake you're going to generate.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more you play, the more you earn. And then Phenom also has a referral program where you can earn tokens simply for referring players to the site. After you create an account, you get your own referral code, and then any players that sign up using that referral code, you will get a portion of the rake that they generate, and that can also be paid in Phenom token. So those are the two ways that you can get your hands on some Phenom token, which it's an exciing time to accumulate Phenom tokens with... I believe the token price has gone up 9 straight weeks now, and the software just got a major upgrade. The players here are happy, and you know, it's a growing community. Our world-class developers are interacting with the player community, and everyone's working together to make the site better and better. And tournaments are launching right around the corner.
That's great. I mean, I wanted to tell you that I could use a full upgrade as well too. I feel like I need one, but how do I'm interested to see of what you see down the road. I mean, you guys have had steady increase in.
Oh, there's a whole roadmap. Like, one of the coolest features about Phenom, honestly, is there's just a public roadmap where anyone can post ideas, suggestions, requests for new features to be added to the site, and then other players can upvote the things that they like, and the things that get upvoted the most get prioritized higher by the developer team.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it really is. Anything else pressing you want to touch on here? But time's been flying.
I know, right?
Approaching 2 hours here.
Oh, fuck.
You all right?
Nah, I just
Bad beat?
fucking yes.
You'll be all right.
How do I put more money in my thing?
Click on the wallet at the top right.
Oh yeah,
That's got your balance. It's not a good. It's not a good.
I
sign.
made
How
a
you
foolish
doing?
one.
How do you add more money?
I'm just testing the waters here, you know. See what's out there. You know, the guy Rusty I was playing against was not bluffing, shall we say? No, he had the goods. You know, ran into a monster. It is fun. I do like the interface here, man.
Feels smooth. It's like it's got a little bit of an old school vibe back to the golden era of online poker. And one thing that you might be shocked to hear, so like there's always been a chat box in online poker.
Yeah.
And, like, some of the most legendary stuff from the big online poker boom was like these trash talk battles.
Of
would
course.
just get completely out of hand.
Yeah.
Like, there was. Like, die in a grease fire became like a common acronym or whatever.
Die in a grease fire?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. There was this whole.
I like the specificity of that.
Talking. Oh my goodness! It got pretty wild. But it added some character. It added some charm to the online poker world. Well, what happened was the online sites got, I guess, sick of dealing with having to traffic and police this stuff, and they just wiped out the chat boxes, and they replaced them with something called throwables, which I'm thinking of starting a campaign against. But you can basically like throw eggs and tomatoes.
That's
and
so stupid.
At the other players at the table, but you can't talk shit. There's no chat box.
I like a chat box. How can I say to a
we
guy?
have one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm
like,
looking at
it
that.
adds
Okay,
a lot to it.
because I was like, I wanted to wish this guy a nice hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a gentleman when I'm losing my money here at the table.
Yeah,
Man, and I just folded the wrong hand. I made a few key wrong decisions, which generally happens in poker, but I'm just testing the waters. That's what I'm doing. You know, I want to see who's legit. Yeah, this is just, you know what? I like to give away some of my money before I start taking money.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah. Choose your own.
You know what
adventure.
I mean? They look at me, they're like, look at this fish.
It's kind of like, the casinos are built on those slot machines.
Yeah.
Poker players are built on people telling themselves things like that.
Yeah, no, I'm 100%. That's why people like to play with me. I have that attitude. And let's not talk about slot machines, please. This is the bane of my existence. I don't know, like, it's the dumbest way to spend money I've ever experienced, and I still will do it from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, think of how much money's been put into making those things as addictive as possible.
Oh my God,
it's really sick.
They are. I gotta say, man, I'm a fan of those bells and whistles, man.
Your bells and whistles, man. You know what the big one is, and I'm sure you've heard it around town, the buffalo. You know, people wear like t-shirts that just say buffalo exclamation point. Tell me you've heard it.
That's a slot machine game, right?
Slot machine.
I've seen that. Why do they're big fans? Is it a special slot machine?
I've got a full house dealt to me, but I'm playing Big O.
So what does that mean?
That means you bitch and moan that you're not playing 5-card draw.
Oh yeah, that was true.
That was me getting it out.
You're allowed to complain if you're getting Delta. Just 5 cards.
Yeah, what are we playing? We're playing Big O. 5 card pot limit Omaha 8 or better.
Damn. I could use getting dealt a full house, although
You need more
I'm playing
cards.
Hold'em, so that's probably difficult. You know what I mean? I'm probably going to have trouble mustering that up.
Just keep trying. You'll flop one eventually.
I am. Now we've got, how many players? We've got 6 players here. It's like getting legit at this. I can't, when 6, 4 players you can play a little loose, I do. But, I got to tighten that shit up after it gets 6 players, right?
Yeah, you're onto it.
I am, you know what I mean? And I'm heading back to New York on Friday for some warmer weather, hopefully, than this. And of course, next week, I looked at the weather. It's going to be like 85 and sunny. I'm so pissed. Yeah. I know, it's terrible. But you know how much I like to come back here.
Yeah, come back out.
Don't you? I mean, shit.
We got to play some live poker again. I think every
I know, no. We definitely have to. We have to go play some live poker. You know what I mean? I think that
I want to get you in the tournament streets too. I'm going to find you like a high value, like low buy-in tournament and make sure you buy in and just like...
Yeah, no,
buckle yourself
hold on. Let me
into the
tell you
torture.
something. Tournament play. I'm not a bad tournament player because I practice patience, which I think is a key component to tournament play, isn't
You
it?
got one of the 25 components you need.
That's it. But I've got that one nailed. You know what I mean? And it's a foundation I'm building off of.
So you're what we call a nit. A nit.
I'm not a tight player.
No?
Fuck off. No.
So you're a aggressive player who also has how
Yes.
to change gears.
Yes.
impressive.
I am strategically. I will be aggressive when it calls for it, but not reckless. Not
Is
reckless.
this is this like boxing? Like you gotta.
I was a good counterpuncher at boxing. That's what I did well. That's what I like to do. Let them make the move and then come in.
All right, so you're a big check raise guy, probably.
Love the check raise. I do. I did it just earlier. Yes, I did. I do. And I like the check raise because when people do it to me, it annoys me to no end. Is a check raise insulting? Is that something that's
you got to hear this? If
Yeah.
you go into a Las Vegas card room,
Yeah.
you will find on the wall somewhere, because I think it's some like state law.
Yeah.
You will find posted rules, and on that posted rules, you will see one of the rules is it'll say check and raise is permitted. So at some point in time, there were poker games being spread where it was looked down upon to check raise, like in like pure gentleman's game fashion or something.
No, that's what I was saying. That was the question I had. Is that
You used to get frowned at. Like when I first got into this game, you're 23 years old and got a pile of chips in front of you and you check raise the old boy.
Yeah.
He's gonna give you the business. So that's
what I thought. Like now I'm the old boy. I can give you the business. No, that's what I was thinking. That it's I don't know if it's like not disrespect. I don't know how to describe it, but I do get a sense that it could be.
I mean, let's think about this though. What's your beef with it? It was deceitful. Like you're playing poker.
No, I know. No. I'm not saying it makes any sense. I mean, there are certain conventions in wherever that are just kind of frowned upon, and you're like, why the fuck would that matter?
Yeah. In poker, it's gotten so competitive that like all edges are getting exploited. So you just got to buckle up and have the mentality that you'd check raise your grandmother.
I love a good check raise. I've check raised my grandmother out of a hand. Are you kidding me? My grandmother was a bridge shark, though. Oh my God, she was good.
My grandma
Take my money.
Played a lot of gin rummy against my grandmother.
I also used to play canasta. Man, do you ever play that?
Never got into that one.
I played we were a card playing house. We played every old lady game there was.
It's regional. Like the games that people play around kitchen tables is a very regional thing. Like in Wisconsin, it was a lot of cribbage, a game called euchre.
Oh yeah, euchre. That's a Midwest thing, man.
There was a game called Sheep's Head that like nobody's ever played outside of a small regional area.
That sounds like something you play when you're ice fishing.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do all kinds of shit in the winter up
Have
there.
you been ice fishing?
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
I have done a lot of things. I've been ice climbing in Canada, rock, all these for stories all over the place. I competed. I competed in the National Nude Volleyball Championships.
You did.
I did. God, I folded 9/8 of a boat.
Just for fun or for a story?
For work, for ESPN.
You told yourself.
I'll show that clip one of the. But ice fishing sounds really terrible to me.
It is. There's
there's a masochism to it.
There is, and I think for a lot of people, it's an excuse to bring a case of beer out into solitude and drink that case of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not going to talk about when I should have gone in a hand or not, man. Oh, look, our time is over. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining us. Did you enjoy your experience?
I always do, man. Are you kidding me? This is like sitting around. What
do you think of this setup? Well, I'm playing around with some stuff. I'm gonna run it through the World Series and then take some time off to focus on that. And then...
you got it. I think this setup is great. I feel like why I like this is listen, you can play poker, you can be very serious about it, but I like a home game, man, where you can shoot the shit and it feels you don't feel that pressure, and that's what I feel like from this, with you, and maybe I'll join you from New York, back, but when I'm back there, because it's fun. I think it's fun to sit around a poker table and talk. And by the way, here I just want to warn you. By the way, when I'm back in New York, I can then play at the same table as you.
Yes.
I
look forward to that.
But we should play a fucking tournament. I mean, like a little one, just for fucking goof, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
maybe tomorrow.
Let's fucking do it. I mean, tonight, tomorrow, whenever, man. Let's do it. Well, is there one coming around?
There's tourneys of all shapes and sizes all over town, nonstop these days. I'm not
kidding. I think we should. I want to do that, man. It would be so much fun. What would we, like a $500 buy-in or something?
You'll get a kick out of this. There's a term in poker called the misreg, which is short for the miserable regular, which is what a lot of us poker players turn into in the eyes of others, apparently. Just because of the pain that you go through, you walk around, you've got 3 days unshaven, just kind of just look withered from the grind, misreg. So it's funny to hear the outsider come in all chippy and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about going to play a poker tournament.
Fucking go play it, man.
No, that's awesome. That's the stuff that we as pros need to stay a little bit in tune with, I think, to help us stay sane.
We need it. All right, let's go do it, and we'll have a report. We'll show you who. All
right, Tim. Well, thanks for joining us. It was awesome picking your brain, and hope you guys at home enjoyed.
So much fun, yeah, and we'll do it again if anybody. And if you don't want me to come back, let me know. That is,
All right, good stuff. Thanks for joining us, guys. I think I'm going to be off next week. We got some big Hold'em tournaments coming up, but I'm going to start doing some night streams, and I'll keep you guys updated. But
with no pants on, he's gonna
great. Things are going to get wild. All right, thanks for joining.
Low elo nobody. One of two things is going to happen in the final day of the final